You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. It is official. Dillon Gabriel is now QB1. So who's QB2, you may be asking? It's not Shedeur Sanders. Oh boy. Oh boy. It is not Shedeur Sanders. It is still Joe Flacco. And there's a lot of reaction to all of this. Now, guys, I told you yesterday, I made a video yesterday morning. Cleveland media was already reporting that Dillon Gabriel was going to start. But it just became quote-unquote official this morning. The Schefters, etc. And there's a very interesting way that Adam Schefter decided to talk about this promotion. Change in Cleveland. Browns are benching veteran QB Joe Flacco in favor of quarterback Dillon Gabriel per sources. The Browns were informed of the change this morning. Gabriel's first NFL start comes Sunday in London. Now, one of the things that struck me as interesting was the Browns were informed? Who exactly made the decision? Now, I can only assume that, in other words, what happened here, this is just speculation. Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry made this decision and then informed Kevin Stefanski and, in turn, the Browns players. That's the only thing I can think of here with this wording. The Browns were informed of the change. And, you know, it was being said yesterday that Joe Flacco, or Kevin Stefanski, wanted Joe Flacco to remain the starting quarterback. So you've got to assume this was done against the will of the coach. Now, why is that? Because Kevin Stefanski's trying to keep his job. And generally speaking, most of these coaches believe if they stay with the veteran QB, they got a chance to slip up and get some wins that might help them remain the starter. Here's the problem. I don't think it matters. I don't. The only way Stefanski keeps his job now is if one of these two rookies actually balls out. And at this point, I got to believe that that Dillon Gabriel can outperform possibly Joe Flacco. We know one thing. He's certainly more mobile than Joe Flacco. All right? Again, if Dillon Gabriel would have been 6'2", he'd have been a top 5 draft pick. It's not an issue of quarterback skill. His real issue is size. So he can run this offense, and what they're hoping for is they're hoping for a Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, blah, blah, blah kind of situation, because Brock Purdy's another one. An example. And his game actually kind of reminds me of Brock Purdy's when I watched him in the preseason. And he ran that offense in the preseason. And he ran it pretty well. Now, the problem is you're playing against guys that are bagging groceries and selling insurance right now. Mopping floors at a peep show. All right? That's the problem. Is the people you're playing against a lot of times. So, wow. I mean, a lot of reaction. Who's next after he has a few bad games? Geez, the Browns, just jersey, could be a top seller. I mean, that's insane. That really is insane. The number of names on there. And the worst part is, the worst name on there is Mayfield. Because they obviously, let's just be honest, they gave up on him. So, that raised this question. Why is Sanders still third string? I mean, honestly, y'all could have Tom Brady in his prime and the fans would still be calling racist for playing him over Shedeur. Yeah. Tony Grossi, this will be the 12 started QB in the 6 years of Kevin Stefanski. I don't know how Stefanski keeps his job. And I like Stefanski, to be honest. He's going to get another job real fast. All right? He's certainly going to be an offensive coordinator at record speed. We'll have to see. But yeah, I don't know how he keeps his job. So Cleveland radio, and we'll get to Tony Grossi in a minute, because he said some rather shocking, he said something in there that if you're a Shedeur Sanders fan, I wonder how the Browns organization really feels about him at this point.
Shedeur Sanders is not going to be the backup. He'll stay third. Joe Flacco becomes the backup. Chris, that does not surprise me. I don't think the Browns feel like he's ready to be the backup quarterback. I mean, if they did, Chris, he'd be the backup quarterback.
Right, Aaron, you say it all the time. Actions over words.
To me, the actions are saying that what Rex Ryan told all of us on Get Up earlier this week, that Shedeur is unprepared, sitting in the back row of the meeting room, that all of that is true. If the Browns felt good about his development, I mean, at this point in the season, they would slide him into the backup role. I know everybody on Get Up, I know everybody on the YouTube chat wants to see Shedeur Sanders. Chris, I think he is as far away from the field today as he has ever been since he got drafted by the Browns. And I think they're looking out for his best interest. It's not that they're trying to take the opportunity away from him. It's that he clearly hasn't earned the opportunity.
Sure.
And to all the audio, that's on him. That's not on the Browns. They drafted him, so they clearly want him to be successful. He's not doing the right things in order to get a promotion. Might it happen a little bit later this year? We'll see.
Yeah, and this crap's going around right here of him sitting in the front row, yada yada yada. That doesn't really mean anything. That doesn't necessarily mean he's studying and putting the time in when they're not in the actual classrooms and actual meetings. Those pictures don't mean anything. I don't understand why people are clinging on to that. This was the interesting thing. Tony Grossi bringing up the Browns' reaction to the Rams' preseason performance. Yikes.
The pecking order was set from day one, and it never changed. The only thing that changed was Kenny Pickett was traded.
Right, but maybe if they'd have given him an opportunity, to show what he could do a little bit more, then he would be ready. Like, it's sort of a chicken and the egg thing in my mind. Like, is he not ready because they haven't given him a chance, or is he not does he never earned the chance, and that's the problem?
Yeah. Well, you guys completely minimized that Rams game. Let me tell you, preseason games are important for rookies. And if they don't improve from one appearance to the other, it's a setback. And that's what happened in the Rams game with Shedeur. I don't care what the circumstances were. It was an awful performance, and I think it was a shock, revelation to the Browns. So he's probably farther behind now than he was at the beginning of training camp.
That's not a good choice of words. I mean, it's a fine choice of words, but for Shedeur, it's not a good choice of words. It was a shock and a revelation that he was that bad. Because he's playing, look, everybody's like, look at who was on the line for the Browns. Look at who he was playing against. Guys that are not in the league right now. So the talent on the other side of the ball coming at him and defending him is the same as the talent Shedeur is working with. And they went, oh shit, he can't clown the Rams' third and fourth stringers. Really, fourth and fifth stringers. Those guys aren't around. And he couldn't do anything. It was a disaster. And even worse, it was on TV. Everybody was watching on NFL Network, yada, yada, yada. He grabbed a lot of attention. Man, when I saw he was still QB3, I went, oh, fuck. It's going to... the world's going to explode. And don't worry, there'll be more reaction to this. I'm just letting everybody get nice and lathered up before we get to the actual reaction to the fans, Shedeur Sanders fans being angry that he's not at least QB2. Understand something. If he's not QB2 right now, then he is definitely not ready to be out there. They're telling you, he's not good enough to be out there right now. You don't want him to go out there and shit the bed royally and do it so badly there's never a trade market for him. There's never a market for anybody wanting his services. None of it. You don't want that to happen. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.